Good morning. My name is Kural Arangasamy. I'm a technical marketing engineer focusing on security solutions for enterprise branches, working with Elisa and branch threat defense solutions. What I have today is just going to show you a quick demo of OpenDNS, how quickly you can configure and how quickly it enforces the policy. The way I've set up this demo is to show a branch environment where you have guest users connecting to a particular interface. It could be via wired or wireless. In this case, I'm showing a wired user. I'm going to show before and after. So before I configure a policy, the user is able to go to any site. And after I configure a policy, certain sites or certain category of sites are blocked. So that's what I'm going to show in here. The demo topology looks like this. It's basically an ISR 4K I have running in San Jose. I'm going to remote desktop into it and then show you from there. The policies I've configured to block auctions, dating, and gambling sites. Right. So that's the policy. I'm just showing you an example of what other category of sites we can block. So let me go to the remote desktop. So this is a client I VNC'd into. From the remote desktop, I VNC'd into the actual client. So the client is allowed to access all the sites. No restriction right now, including auction sites, let's say eBay. .com or Match.com. So these are sites that typically, or you want to block, kind of like some sites, auctions type or match type, dating type of sites. So now at this point, the user is allowed. Now I'm going to go to prime infrastructure. We have some CLI templates in the prime infrastructure that can simplify the provisioning. So it's basically automating the CLIs. So you simply give the token ID that identifies the organization to apply policy, and the interface that where you have guest users connected, and it'll go and provision all the routers in a single shot. So the CLI templates, so I'm going to deploy and select the device where I want to deploy. So next. So at this point, it asks me the interface where I have the guest users connected, which is a LAN interface. In my case, it's a gig 000. When
you say guest, you just mean any user? Or?
It could be any user. And the tag is what identifies the policy that needs to be applied. For example, here I'm giving guest. So the guest is the tag that will be sent as part of the DNS traffic that we forward to the OpenDNS. So they know which policy to apply.
On ingress interface?
Yes.
Okay, and support sub-interfaces?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. And on the OpenDNS portal, when you go to the OpenDNS portal, you will see a device ID, which represents the router name and the tag that you have assigned. So you can create a policy and apply to that device. So any traffic coming with that ID will get that policy. So you could have multiple user groups, like one is guest and maybe partners, contractors, different type names, and then apply different policies to these users, all from the single router.
So I know you're doing this from Prime. Can it all be done from CLI if somebody wants to?
Yes, it's 3 lines of config in CLI.
3 lines of config.
I also wanted to ask this, the connector is part of the XE code? Like it's not an additional,
yes.
You don't have
it is, yeah. Yes, it is part of the XE code. You don't need.
Which version did it start coming out in, or is it out yet, or is it?
It's going to be 16.3, which is going to be released in 2 weeks.
Okay, so very, very soon.
Yes.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
So this is where you would list your local domains. If you have a local domains, you would list the local domains here. It will create a whitelist for those domains, so they don't get forwarded to OpenDNS. The registration token is when you subscribe, you get a registration token with that identifies the organization for which the policy needs to be applied. This is one token that across all the branches you would use the same token. Based on the router serial number, it will create different device ID for those and then identify which policy to apply to which branch. You could even create policies and apply to different branches and different policies. Or if you choose, you could create one policy globally and apply it to all the routers in one shot. You don't have to define different policies, but you have the customization option as well. So I'm going to use this token and enter it here. DNS script is the encryption between the router and the OpenDNS portal. It is automatically enabled, so it's protecting all the information that we send, for example, the tags and the token IDs.
So hijacking the request and inserting all your own goodies isn't
Possible.
thing.
Yeah.
Good.
You can't defeat the purpose of this whole thing.
It's a good thing.
The encryption's worth the price of admission right there.
Right.
True,
Indeed.
It
true.
really is. No man in the middle for DNS. Just eliminating that alone is a great feature.
Yes. Hit apply. Next, this is kind of timing. When do you want to apply? I'm saying right now. Hit finish. So currently it's applying the policy. In the meantime, I'm going to show you what the policy looks like so you have an idea of how you configure a policy. So when you log into OpenDNS.com, when you subscribe, they give you, you get a credentials to log into OpenDNS.com. Once you log in, this is the organization ID. This is based on the token. Since I have multiple IDs for demo purposes, here it shows up as, I can select which one. The one I have selected right now is the Cisco ISR demo as the organization. And then you go into policies, you can create policies here, or you could use the default policy. I've created a guest web access policy as a name. And in there I have OpenDNS, ISR-OpenDNS, which is my router name. Let me log into the router and show you what that looks like.
The OpenDNS product does full DNSSEC validation as well,
Yes,
right? Okay.
yes.
So we were just chatting about this earlier. Obviously, OpenDNS has full IPv4 and IPv6 support. Does the intercept and rewrite functionality on the ISR also have dual stack support?
So currently on the ISR, we only support IPv4.
Okay.
But we are working on enabling IPv6 support for...
Is that V4 queries versus response?
For both. The connection between the ISR and the OpenDNS is IPv4, and also we only do the IPv4 policy enforcement. For IPv6, we are looking at enabling in the next release. Right now, it's working on.
Okay, so right now, anyone who's dual stack can just bypass the whole process.
Yeah, IPv6.
Definitely a bad thing.
That's definitely a bad thing.
Welcome to IPv6, though.
What's that?
Welcome to
Product
IPv6.
manager is here. She has.
Well,
We heard you loud and clear.
You had to know that question was coming. I mean,
Let that go.
And we knew the answer to the question is going to be a little iffy, but yes.
But good for
this
you
is
for having it.
It's going to be just a short time.
okay.
So very
It's
next release. Basically.
It's just a couple of months away.
It's definitely a high priority for us.
Good.
That's,
Roadmap.
so in the policy settings is where you define the filtering policy. Is it good now? So here's where the custom categorization. I've selected, like it's auction, stating, and gambling. You can select. There's about 80 categories that you can select.
Where do those come from?
This is where the OpenDNS defines the category based on what they.
Yeah, what's that? I know the database you're
Can I
thinking
make my
of.
own? Oh, like WebSense old stuff?
No, like what's that database that everyone uses? Like Ironport uses it, and yeah.
Talosune.
Yeah, there's like a generic, like, where do those categories come from? Is it a standard category list, or is it something OpenDNS creates?
This is something that OpenDNS creates.
Okay.
So eventually there's going to be some sort of a standardization across all the databases used across Cisco products, but it'll take some time.
And here's where you can select the block page, whether you want to use the default block page or you want to send it to a different block page. You can customize the block page based on your company needs, company logo, or any other text that you want to.
Is that block page on the ISR?
It's coming
Will
from
it be
the
pushed to the
OpenDNS.
ISR or?
No, the OpenDNS gives the
okay.
block IP, block server IP address.
Now, is it only full block, or can we do any kind of like warn as opposed to full block?
No, currently it's only the block.
Hard
so
block. Okay.
We don't have any. Okay, let me go back to the client and safety policy. Before that, let me show you the config, how it looks like.
With customizable pages, you can always have them redirect the stuff that's fishy through a full proxy where you can inspect everything.
This is true.
You know what? You could layer OpenDNS and Cloud Web Security as a beefed up solution.
And the sales pitch is there. Thank you.
Well, there's options.
There are.
Is
There's
there a
a-
reference design for that type of thing?
I am not sure about that. We can probably make one. But again, it's not a sales pitch. My opinion is that security is not a one-size-fits-all.
No.
So you need to have layers. And the more layers you have, the best protection you can get. And so by layering something that works at DNS layer with something that works at HTTPS proxy layer, you can get the best of both sides.
Yeah, that would be good. So you can take the known goods and keep your performance up and send it straight
Exactly.
through.
You don't have to redirect all that heavy web traffic to the cloud web security side. You only redirect what's necessary, what cannot be detected at the DNS.
So you
layer.
could customize all your deny pages, have them go through cloud web security, and that way, yeah, they can still go there, but they know they're being watched.
Yeah, you could.
Okay.
So the config on the router is pushed by the prime. So now we have everything set. Let me go back to the same client and show you the block is working. Close the browser and restart it, just in case if there's any cache.
Which version of Prime has the connector policy?
So it's 3.1. Right now we are working for the 3. We are enabling it on the 3.1. Even if it's not available, if you have an older version, this is an XML file that you can import as a CLI template.
Okay.
Okay, so right now it's forwarding to block.opendns.com. I think I have problem with resolving this name because I'm running this demo within a Cisco network, so they don't allow going to another blog page. So otherwise, you would see a Cisco, OpenDNS blog page that explains why you cannot browse to this page. eBay or Match, but you can go to any other sites like CNBC, CNN.com. All other sites are allowed. Only those categories that I blocked, you're blocked from going there. That's pretty much. If you want to quickly see the CLIs, I can show you the CLIs as well. Let's see if I have time. Okay.
More clicks than CLI lines.
There's always more.
Yeah, I was going to say, welcome to GUI.
That's why we always ask, can you do this just in the CLI? Because
So here are the configs. We import the certificate to establish HTTPS session for ISR to connect to OpenDNS. The parameter is where you define the token, which identifies the organization for which the subscription. OpenDNS out is the interface that identifies the egress interface that connects to internet, so you can use to encrypt data. OpenDNS in identifies where you want to apply this policy for which user. Those are the configs. It's a 3 lines config that you need.
PBR for DNS.
Pretty much.
DNS out, DNS in. Done.
There you go.
So a CCNA could deploy this no problem.
Yeah, that's pretty much on the OpenDNS. Any question before I move on to the next?
No, you almost never need to give us that chance. We jump in whenever we've got them.
If you couldn't tell. No.
Yeah, it's good in a way.
In a way.
In a way, yeah.
I don't have to allocate a separate time for Q&A at the end and ask for questions.
Like, oh, about
it's being very interactive is really good. Stealthwatch Learning Network is a new addition to Cisco Stealthwatch family. I'm sure you've heard of Cisco Stealthwatch, which is a NetFlow-based, visibility providing. So visibility is critical to any security solution, right? First thing you want to know is who is in the network, what they're doing, what are the type of devices that are existing in the network, and it's very critical. Stealthwatch provides that visibility. Now, I'm sure you all know, if I say this, I'm stating the obvious. The recent breaches have shown the attackers have become very sophisticated and very advanced threats are persistent, right? So it becomes very complex to identify such advanced threats, especially when the network is distributed and there is so many branches, and some of them even have branch-to-branch communication. So it's kind of like, it's very difficult when you have threats that are traveling laterally between branches without even coming to headquarters. They may be traveling, laterally. So those are very difficult to identify threats. It becomes very complicated, especially with a large enterprise that has distributed networks across the globe. Right. Stealthwatch is a new addition. It's a new way of detecting evasive malwares and zero-day attacks. The way it works is it learns based on the behavior of the user, network device, and networks, and then identifies if there is any anomaly. It uses machine learning to identify anomalies. It makes a behavioral models based on the learning it has done for over a period of time. And based on the behavioral model, it can quickly identify if there is an anomaly in the network. Right? And when it flags the anomaly, the admin has an option to either say it is an anomaly or give feedback so that the action can be taken. Either ignore the alarm if it is not an anomaly, or if it is an anomaly, the SLN can drop those packets or allow you to take different actions. I'll go over that in one
This
second.
is all learned via NetFlow. Is that what you said?
I'll go over that in
Okay.
1 second. NetFlow is one of the ways it collects data. So there are two components to SLN. One is the distributed learning agent that runs on the network device. In our case, it's on the ISR 4K routers. And second is the SCA, which is a SLN control agent or SLN manager simply, that manages all the DLAs. The DLA's main purpose of DLA is to collect data through multiple sources. One is NetFlow. The other is NBAR to identify the applications. And third, it uses deep packet inspection on some protocols. You can define which protocol. Currently, it's on DNS. And also, it collects information from the routers directly. For example, routing status, routing table, other information that are relevant, collects all the information, and processes them locally within the DLA to make the behavioral models, and then conveys those models to the SCAs. The function of SCA is to collect these models and identify or identify the relevance of anomaly between multiple branches, and provide a single point of place where the admin can go and look at all the DLAs and manage them from there, or provide policies or take actions based on the anomalies that they see. How does it work? It's a basic operations is, first it discovers the traffic patterns based on NetFlow data and like other information that it collects. It waits for a period of time to see what is a normal behavior. And then it makes a behavioral model databases based on those behaviors and identifies if there is any anomalies based on those behaviors. If anything changes, for example, if the user were to browse or use the network in a certain manner for over a period of time, and one day all of a sudden he's using it differently, maybe he's sending so much of data, it flags as an anomaly. It may or may not be a suspicious, but at this point, the admin can go and take a look at why it is behaving differently and take action based on that. So what is the benefit of running SLN or DLA in the router in a branch environment? First of all, it turns your router into a security device. With a minimal resource, you're able to turn your router into a security device. Second, because it's distributed and you're using little resource from every branch to make up a very big or very powerful machine learning based security tool. Right. It helps you gain granular insight into the branch traffic and branch traffic patterns and branch users, how they use the network. And it helps you identify or quickly detect if there is an anomaly in the network from the branch level. Right? So at the branch, it's running at the branch, it can quickly identify if there is any threats that are existing in that branch. And helps you identify if there is the lateral movement of this branch, so you can quickly stop those movements. In the SCA is a central dashboard where all the anomalies are reported. It also provides a threat probability, meaning that some of the threats could be with a high probability that you want to take a look at first before the other probability, lower probability ones. When you click on that, it gives you more information as to why it was detected as an anomaly. So you could quickly drill down and see the anomalies, whether it is a anomaly that you want to quickly take a look at or take an action based on it. Right. The other important thing I want to mention here is distributed learning agent does the learning and locally processing the information. At the same time, it also provides actionable intelligence locally. So the couple of different ways you can enforce policies. One is if you identify something as an anomaly, it can drop those packets by injecting an ACL or by injecting a QoS policy or by injecting, let's say, a TrustSec SGT change so that you can define policies based on the changed tag. So there are different ways, mitigation techniques are available. The first version is going to be only based on ACL drop. It's a transient ACL, meaning that it'll add it to a running config. When you reboot, it's not there. But later on, we will be adding more and more mitigation techniques. Like I said, QoS policies, or it could be tag change, or it could be even changing a firewall policy. It can inject a firewall policy to make sure the user is blocked, right? Or it can change a PBR policy to redirect the user, maybe to advanced security inspection to make sure that it's not an infected user, or maybe infected user is blocked.
So this is all on the fly and it's based off of a threshold?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And another option is it can also trigger a packet capture of those suspicious traffic. So you have an option to enable that feature by providing a hard disk in the router. SSD drive, if you have SSD drive, they can give you more PCAP captures in those devices as well.
Ooh. How did that become an also thing? That should have been led with. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a key feature.
Yeah, a lot of times the admins may not be comfortable enabling PCAP capture on the fly from a branch environment. They won't have control and say, I want to capture this particular.
High enough threshold. I know.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much every security guy I've ever met would love to have a per packet log of what exactly happened, so they could go back and figure out what exactly.
Yeah,
That's a good feedback.
Time machine for threats. When you go back and look, I mean,
Right. There's this other product you may have heard of, Tetration, that they're kind of doing the same thing.
yeah, but I can't put a rack in every frame.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like everyone's asking for that, to be able to go back and replay events for not just for security, but for all kinds of reasons, but to be able to capture based off of a threshold. So
Typically,
Right,
the
okay.
captures are too late, or you have to do it all the time, and you can't do that.
right, yeah, we're buying really expensive boxes
Yeah,
and
yeah.
keeping a buffer of whatever, and then
every
you
branch
can't do that at a
location.
branch location.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
becomes too expensive.
Right.
How is that delivered to the router? Is it through CLI or SNMP?
I'm sorry, what is the loop?
How are those commands delivered to the router to initiate the packet capture?
SSH.
Okay.
So no, not API yet. I mean, everything seems to be going that way. So
Yes, that's true. When you said API, I had another point I wanted to make. The SCA, or the control agent, also has APIs to connect to other tools, like for example, ICE, Identity Services Engine, to provide context enrichment. It also has API to connect SIEMs like Splunk to get more information. Another important feature, it also has option to connect to threat intents, for example, Talos, or any other web reputation service. To get information, there are multiple ways that SCA and the DLAs get threat intels to identify bad behaviors, known behaviors, and then unknown behaviors based on the learning it has done over a period of time. So finally, the SLN or Stealthwatch Learning Network and Umbrella Branch or OpenDNS integration is a great addition to already available security stack on the ISR, which provides a secure connectivity to zone-based firewall or IPS solution and the web filtering solution. With this, you are able to provide much good protection for your branch users.
And is this also integrated into the code, or?
So this is a VM that you need to install in the container.
Okay.
ISR 4K has a container as a dedicated resources. We can run multiple services in the container. Today we are running Snort IPS as a container application. You can also run SLN as a container application in there. That's why it's supported only on the ISR 4K platform.
So this is taking advantage of the XE architecture to pull that off.
Correct. And being a very heavy security feature from a management and operation standpoint, it provides, that architecture provides a nice separation between network operations and security operations, which is top of mind of many organizations. So where two teams access the same access to, are responsible of different parts of the daily operations.
Yeah, two people responsible for two different things. They may want to have control over their.
Yeah, usually SecOps teams are very much into managing security operations of the security side of the house. So this provides that nice separation.
What are the resource requirements for Umbrella Branch and SLN on the router itself? Then?
Umbrella Branch is part of the iOS XE code. It's a very lightweight code. For SLN, you would require at least one CPU and at least 256 MB memory. If you need packet captures, then you would probably need about 2 gig memory and a SSD drive. Without packet capturing, it's a very lightweight agent.
Now, for labbing things out and just testing things as proofs of concept for customers where we're not racking up ISR 4Ks in our labs for this, can we integrate something like this into a soft iOS XE platform like the CSR 1000V for playing?
For playing, yes, but also eventually.
Okay,
so it's also a roadmap
so
item.
play for now and production later. Okay.
Demos in dCloud or of this kind of stuff?
Yes, demo is in the cloud. The reason I could not do a demo is this is not something I can build it in a smaller lab. It has to be in a real production environment. It has to run for several weeks to do the baselining.
Right.
So that's why we have this in dCloud. We have enabled it in dCloud, and it should be available soon for everybody to access.
Perfect. That's great.
Also, it's available at the World of Solution.
Yes.
So if you step to the security booth at Cisco, you will be able to see it.
Okay.